This is Gary Van Bueller with IntelliNetics, and everybody is on listen only. We'll wait just another minute to see if anybody else is going to sign on, and then we'll get rolling. All right, let's get going. Again, good morning. This is Gary Van Bueller with IntelliNetics, and welcome to another IntelliNetics training webinar. Today's webinar, utilizing advanced capture to sort, prioritize, and capture important information, will highlight IntelliNetics advanced capture solution. We have a lot of participants on the webinar today, so everyone is on mute. So if you'd like to ask a question, you can use the chat box at the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen, and we'll try to answer if there's enough time, or otherwise we'll get back to you individually with an answer that works. So as you probably know, document capture technology is not new, but the industry has advanced with innovative tools and functionality that allow businesses to do much more than simply scan documents. Now the technology enables businesses to classify, learn, and extract meaning from their documents. Through automation, we can leverage and organize all our data, both structured and unstructured. The bottom line is that smart document capture technology is important not only for gaining efficiencies and reducing operating costs, but through classification and data extraction, it can lead to much better business processes. I have with me today Bob Hunt, the Chief Automation Officer, who's going to go through the IntelliNetics Advanced Capture solution so you can see how it might benefit your organization. So thanks for joining us, Bob.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for everybody joining. I think I've been allocated about 30 minutes, so I'll quickly go through a slide presentation, and then I'll dive right into the technology. And as Gary mentioned, please feel free to ask any questions via the comment section or the notes section, and we'll get to those questions throughout the presentation. So what we're talking about today is utilizing advanced data capture to help you sort documents in an automated fashion, and then also capture the relevant data. So when we're talking about capturing data, what we're talking about is alleviating the need to data enter information off of a document. So let me go to the next slide. So when we're talking about a document recognition, you might hear a document recognition, document classification, document sorting. So if you take a variety of different documents and you put it on a scanner without any barcode separator sheets, any prep work, etc., our software could actually take those documents, identify which type of document it is, and from that, extract the relevant data from those documents. And the data that you're taking off those documents can be unique to that specific document. So the example on the screen is identifying one of them as an invoice, and then gathering the invoice number, invoice date, and the total. And all those can be customizable for that specific document. So as Gary mentioned, there's a variety of different solutions in the marketplace. What makes this solution stand out is the ease of use. We've designed it from a standpoint that it's web enabled. It has all the functionality in the browser. There's no templates to set up, and it's easy to install. Very easy to start in one department and expand it to another department. So for example, you could start in accounts payable and focus on capturing invoices, and then you could expand it into capturing purchase orders, sales orders, or you could even place the application upstream in your mailroom to identify any document that's coming into your organization. And then from a support standpoint, we have 7-to-7 support, basically all the way to 5 Eastern, all the way to 7 Pacific, or actually 6 Pacific time. So any of those time zones, we have support to be able to take care of any challenges that you have. As I mentioned before, there's no setup. We have 70% automation out of the box. And what that means is even if our software has not seen an unstructured form before, you could take that data off the unstructured form and gather 70% of it the first time it sees that document. There's also patented machine learning built into the solution so that it gets smarter over time. So once you've interacted with the document, it'll take the learning experience from the user's experience and incorporate that into the solution so that it gathers more information the second time it sees that specific document. And I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. So if you look at all the phases from an advanced capture process, you have the input section is at the very, very beginning, and we can take documents from a scanner. We can take documents from a multifunctional device, Twain scanner, email. You could drop documents in a folder. You could bring documents in via fax. There's a variety of different ways that we can onboard documents. From that standpoint, we can classify the documents as they come in, and then we capture the data that's relevant to that specific document. And then we can also do database lookups, which gives you even more accuracy to look into an ERP system or any inventory system, etc., and pull back and validate the data that we've captured that it's correct. And also from a verification standpoint, the user would be only correcting the data that did not meet the threshold from a confidence level, and the confidence level can be adjusted as well. From an export standpoint, we can do bidirectional pushes of data. So we can not only push metadata to IntelliCloud, but we can also push a export to a line of business application as well. And we've also exported out in the EDI format also. The solution comes either on-premise or in the cloud. And we also have the solution where it's scalable so that if any part of the application needs more resources, we have it where it's threaded such that it gets the additional resources it needs to complete that task. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the solution, and I'll show you some more additional information. First thing I'm going to do is talk through the dashboard. So when you log in, it's user ID and password enabled. It also does single sign-on. Once you log in, you'll have certain rights and privileges. Here's a dashboard, and my rights gives me the rights to be able to see all this information on the screen. How many jobs are in class verification? How many jobs are in data verification? How many documents have been processed in the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days? And then we also have the oldest documents that are in the queue for class verification, data verification, and also what's been processed by me in the last 7 days. First, I'm going to dive into class verification and show you what that looks like. If you look at these invoices, you'll see that each one of them, so think of this as about a 15-page document that was put on a scanner without any separation, without any prep work. So all these are invoices. So the software identifies where one document starts and one document stops and then goes to the next one. So you'll see each one of them has their own little swim lane. And so I hope that you can glean the ease of use to lay it out in a format that this is one document, this is the second document, this is a document that it has an attachment, and that's what the paperclip here indicates. And you scroll down, and there's a variety of different links of these documents. Like this one here is a 6-page document. So If for some reason that you visually look at it and you say, hey, this one's wrong, I need to fix that, you can right click on your mouse and you'll notice we have all different types of commands that support not only the mouse but also keyboard shortcuts, because a lot of people do not want to take their hands off the keyboard, so that's supported as well. And this could be this page here could be moved to the previous document. It could be its own standalone document, or it could be combined with the document after. The way that the system is configured from a structure standpoint is anything that's below 95% confidence would show up in red. All these have 100% confidence. So in a production environment, you would not see any of these, but I've slowed it down where you could actually see these in queue. So there's really nothing to do on these because they have all green check marks. We traditionally start out with 95% confidence and have a person look at them if they're below the 95% threshold. By all means, I'm going to move over to data verification now, but by all means, please submit any questions that you might have. Okay, so the first, what I'm going to show you is all the training data has been removed, and I'm going to show you the first pass of these documents. And these are all invoices, so they're unstructured documents. I'm going to size my screen. All right, so from that standpoint, you can see that we met the threshold of gathering 70% or more of the data from these documents on first pass. So now all I have to do is work through the exceptions. If we had a database to look against and do a database lookup, a lot of the things that wasn't captured on these invoices, even on first pass, is mostly the vendor name. So a lot of that could be alleviated if we had a database lookup. So all I have to do is I take my mouse and I go over to the image on the right, and you can see I'm hovering over the Philips Lighting Electronics. And so then I just click that field. It's going to populate the vendor name there. I have my green check mark, and I go to the next one. Same thing here. Okay. And go to the next one. You'll see the invoices have a variety of different links. We're going to get into some two-page invoices here in a second. And the reason why this one is in red instead of black text is I have a safeguard in place to, if you see any dots or anything like that, that's known to be a character that shouldn't occur. But this specific vendor has a decimal point in the middle of their invoice number. Okay, and the PO number is actually not required because not all these invoices have POs. But if I wanted to capture the PO number, I could just click right here and pull the PO number in. Okay, the next one is one that is really, really complex and would give a lot of our competition fits. So you can see the header information, and I can scroll in and scroll out on different areas of the invoice. So if I put my cursor up here, hit my scroll wheel, I'll zoom in that area. If I put my cursor here and zoom in, it'll be right in the middle. But you can see on this invoice that the header information is duplicated throughout the process. And we've done a really, really good job of capturing all these line items, even on first pass, of never seeing this one before, and ignoring the headers. So there's a few things that we need to fix. One being, you can see if I put my cursor here, it pulled the total from this first subcategory. And I want to teach it that we don't want to pull it from there. And also I need to delete the amount due. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is while we're on the first page here, I'm going to pull the vendor name. So I have the vendor name, and then I'm going to the second page and see if there's a subtotal on this document. Okay. There's not a subtotal on the document, but you can see we have 14 line items here. And we have all 14 line items here on first pass. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the calculator button here, and it's going to total all my line items here since there's not a subtotal on the document. So we do the math for you to make sure that the vendors are sending over invoices that are accurate. We take the quantity times unit price equals the line total. So if these do not foot, then there's going to be an error message that will be presented to you. Also, all the line items have to equal the subtotal, and then the subtotal plus the tax plus the shipping would equal the amount due. If any of those are out of balance, you'll get an error message for you to take a further look. And this is on purpose so that you'll have relevant and accurate data that's being passed to your ERP system. So I'm going to click and teach it that the amount due is there. I've got my green check mark, and I'm going to go to the next one. So we're on number 5 of 7, so we don't have much more invoices to go through on first pass, and then we'll go through the learning aspect of our solution. I'm just going to click through these so the subtotal is already populated. The shipping information is right here. And you can see on this one here, it says total before tax. So it put it in the tax field. So if you watch my cursor, I do not have to remove the tax. I just got to move that field up here. So I just put my cursor in the subtotal amount and train it that this is subtotal. And it leaves the tax field without having to remove it. And then from amount due, I can click right here and we're done. So had a person the other day said, you click the mouse about 9 to 10 times on first pass, and we gathered significant amount of line items. Like this one had 14. I think there was another one that had 7. Okay, now so let's go and take a look at the second pass of the document and see how the learning aspect kicks in related to my interaction the first time. Okay, you also notice on this one here, let's scroll down here. So we got, of the 7 invoices, we have 2 invoices we need to adjust. Okay. So the tax exempt number there is not there, so we need to remove that. Have our green check mark, and then number 7. And we're done. So 2 clicks of the mouse on the second iteration of seeing all those documents, we were able to process them in limited time. So the value proposition is the amount of time that you spend sorting documents and the amount of time you spend indexing documents or data entering documents into a line of business application. Our solution can assist you in focusing on more value-added tasks. So with that, I'll wait for any questions that come through. I think we're at the 20-minute mark, and so we'll stay on here for another 10 minutes, see if there's any questions that come through.
I don't see anything yet.
Okay.
That means you're either doing a great job or there's way too much confusion, but we can go move on.
So while we're waiting for questions, if any of you like what you've seen today, we can set up a personal demo for you and your team. You can just contact Gary and he can coordinate that for you. And then also what we've done in the past is, you could provide us your samples, because a lot of times it's a case where the proof's in the pudding. So if you wanted to provide your documents and us do a demo with your documents, we can definitely do that.
And I think it's important to note that this sample is with invoices, and that this could be applied to a lot of different types of documents and not necessarily just invoices.
Correct. And it also could be even a combination of a variety of different documents. So it could be a case where you have an application, you have an invoice, you have a purchase order, you have maybe a HR form, a packing slip, etc. All those documents where you're indexing them into the IntelliCloud solution, or you're actually entering that data into a line of business application, would be a prime candidate to leverage this technology.
Okay. Guess we get to finish a little early today. There's no questions. Definitely contact Intellonetics if you have any further questions. We'll certainly try to get that. And like Bob said, we can do a demonstration on your documents so that you can see how it actually works in your environment. So with that, thank you very much for attending today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.